It's another sad and emotional day. And decisions and accountability should be primary factors. But I'll ask this, are you not surprised? And when you think about it, did we set ourselves up for this? Let's get into this. What's up, everybody? And welcome back to another video. It's been a crazy day, and I'm sure if it's been one for me, it's been one for you. We're at a time right now where emotions are rampant. Decisions are being made that are from an emotional standpoint and not from a logical one. In this video, we're going to discuss that. And that's exactly what it's going to be. A discussion. It's not going to be all these opinions. It's not going to be this is what it is. It's not going to be debate. No, it's going to be discussion. I'm going to lay out some facts. We're going to focus on discussion, leadership comparison, accountability, and overall common sense. Literally, common sense. We're going to find some comfort in this chaos, and kind of help trigger your mindset. And if I can provide that to you guys, then I know I did my job. Intent was met, and I appreciate that. So thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. It's Gabe, active duty military leader, aspiring content creator, and just another dude on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. Got some cool stuff. Links in the description down below. Feel free to check it out. Hit me up on Instagram, shoot a DM, check on me so I can check on you. And then we'll just press forward. Now, consider this a little warning, little disclaimer, because some of the stuff we're going to talk about, probably a little bit sensitive, and maybe some of the clips I'm going to pull up could be sensitive in nature as well. So this is just that content warning for you, that little disclaimer. So should you choose to go on, appreciate it. Let's learn. I'll observe some real world issues. And then if not though too, hey, feel free, chime it off, move on to the next video or channel, put the kids to bed and take care of your circle. I appreciate it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Oh man. So there I was today. I'm at work, taking care of the team, taking care of my soldiers. And at work, I'm away from my phone and social media. It's the end of the day. I'm making my rounds, making sure the team's good and the soldiers are good for tomorrow. Just going and making my rounds and checking on everybody. And I walk out of the building, get in my car, and that's when I pull up my phone. And as I just scroll and check my text messages, check any quick little emails, anybody that's, reach out to me directly. And then, of course, I also check the Instagram. I notice a clip. And then I'm scrolling and I see the same clip. And then another clip. Then I knew, okay, it's happening. And I said to myself, well, now we got another one. Just social media, and it kills me. It eats me up because I literally, at that moment, just looked up in the sky. I was just like, God, not another one. Not again. There's so much going on in people's minds and emotions, and yet here we go again. It took me a while to put something together to record, but I knew that, okay, I'm seeing a lot of in-your-face opinions. This is what it is. It's already being politicized. And I know you guys know what clip I'm talking about. I'm going to pull it up here. It's just a little news coverage of it, just to kind of give you a premise of what we're going to be discussing. It was one of those situations where I had to really take my time with this one because I'm not one of those guys where I'm just going to come in your face and this is what you got to believe. Get on my side. I don't claim a side, but one thing I do fall on is I'm a leader. The characteristics of leadership, standards, and accountability are foundational engravings in me. It's been instilled in me, not just in my job, but I see what it does when you apply it to your life. So I had to take my time. I had to gather my thoughts and figure out how I'm going to come up here and look you guys in the eye and how are we going to discuss this? Because that's what it needs to be. That's what comfort and chaos is. We got to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations, but realize that the common denominator is you and I, we're humans. We are human beings. And not only that, you and I, we have an end date, like it or not. And time is going by like this. And before you know it, all that energy, all that stress, all those emotions, everything that you thought mattered, it didn't. And that's just the truth. You can argue with me on that, but it doesn't. It doesn't, because tomorrow isn't promised to literally nobody, regardless of your financial status, your gender, your religion, your political side of point of view, regardless, your ideology, regardless. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody. And I want you to remember that, because we're going to segue with that and keep that idea as we go forward in today's episode. Okay? I'd ask you, keep an open mind. Let's have this discussion and consider this part where you're hearing me out. Feel free, comment down below, argue with me, tell me I'm full of crap, and then I'll listen to you and I'll read your comment. But in the end, you and I were both humans, regardless of what you think of this or what we're going to discuss today or what I'm going to cover in today's video. That's just the reality. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this clip. Okay, so what we have here is the actual clip from one of the local news networks within Minneapolis. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and play this here. And then we're just kind of going to talk about it, but just so you catch you guys up on what's going on.
Okay. This is ICE agents just pulling up here. The vehicle is
lower
right there.
And it happens so fast that it's hard to see what takes place in this particular video, but that is the front angle. And then we have also obtained some video from behind where it happens, but that is the vehicle that belongs to the woman who was killed today. And as Randy said, there were 3 agents in particular surrounding the car.
So one thing I will say though, remember whenever you're watching local media or news, one thing, and this is a discussion once again, but one thing I have always noticed is not only with just news media, but also social media, is everything is so emotionally based. So whenever they present a story, we have to remember this though, any story, it could be anything. They're gonna have a side and then they're gonna try to react or create an emotional reaction. Like that is their motive whenever they share a story. It's never just strictly informational base, non-bias. No, we have shifted from that. Now there is a side, there is a narrative, and you guys know this. I mean, we all know this. We've seen it just from everything in the past, from COVID, and I mean, just everything. We've learned this. So once again, one of those things, keep in mind, as we go into this,
It's unclear why she was parked at an angle in the street or what was happening in the street at that time. We do know that as they approached her vehicle, one agent told her to get out of the car, and then we see the car start to move, and then we hear the shots.
So that video you just saw is the one that President Trump also viewed this afternoon as well. And
so once again, informational base. Hey, give us the information, give us a story, and let us know you're looking into it. But here you can clearly see they don't really know everything yet. We have gone past the time, and I'm not holding it against them. This is not on them. It's their employers and that employer's employer, the owner of the company. That is just the society we live in, guys. Is we don't no longer seek truth before we relay information. We don't do that. Now we just exploit the narrative, and we take what we can and we use that and we exploit that, knowing that we don't know the whole truth. If it was them, they could have just reported what they know and then leave it at that and then share, hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we know now. More information is coming in and more to follow. So stay tuned. And we want to make sure we give you the most clear and accurate information within this story. Literally. That's how a real leader presents information to their team. That is just, to me, that should be the natural inclination. If this is my role and responsibility, sit at this news desk and give you the information, then I want to make sure I'm giving you true and accurate information, the facts, and that's what their focus should be. But clearly, no, because you're going to hear this. This is just a local news network. And once again, you can hear that.
Post watching that video, the president did put out a statement. I believe we have that for you. And it reads like this: I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman...
It was a horrible thing to watch, guys. Any time something like this, a situation ends like this, where an innocent civilian, okay, because that's the reality, that's the fact. It was a civilian, who in my eyes didn't do anything nefarious other than interfere with an operation. But we're gonna get more into that. But it was a civilian, was not weaponized in that sense, didn't pose an immediate threat to the team. So let's continue this.
Riding the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to...
I don't know why so many adjectives, but okay.
Have shot her in self-defense. We will say from our observations, the officer does not appear to have been on the pavement. He was in front of that bumper at the time.
I mean, I'm not even going to get too much into this. I don't care about all the tweets and stuff and the information, because to me, guys, this is just exactly what I was saying. We are now in a time where literally everybody is race to get out a reaction, emotional, and it is. And without knowing the truth, there's probably so many truths before, and everyone's guilty of it. I wouldn't even put everything on President Trump. He wasn't there. He didn't make the decision. He wasn't in that situation, but even going all the way from him, when it comes to accountability and leadership, all right, and actions all the way down to actions on contact, you got accountability and leadership, but in that sense, it's like, hey, before you even put out any information, before you're tweeting any information, before you're posting information, before anything is posted, before new stories are coming out, hey, give out what you know. If you're so in a hurry to put it out, give out what you know, and then just say more to follow, just like the news relay. If I'm going to post about this, if I were to post about this, given that time or whatever, I'd be like, hey, this is a sad situation. I'm putting out a team. We're going to look into this. We're going to look into this because accountability needs to be applied, whether it be on this side or this side. But either way, there's going to be a standard, and we're going to hold it that same accountability standard across the board. More to follow. I'll keep you informed. Something like that, you know. Same thing with the news. Same thing with the news. Same thing with the police chief. Same thing with the mayor. Same thing with everybody. Like, lead. Just lead. But in the end, I mean, nobody's perfect. You know, all we can do is just kind of hope, but we can control what we can't control. You know, you can't control higher echelons. But at the same time, all you can do is I can control my mindset, I control my actions, you know, and it's just one of those things, guys. It is one of those things. And I'd encourage you guys to definitely focus on that. Don't fall for this. I mean, the media is definitely going to put out everything they need to trigger your emotions in literally everything now. So kind of look into it more with an objective approach rather than a subjective approach. I would encourage you guys. You'd be amazed at what you'll learn from that, you know, and then draw your conclusion after you know all the facts. Let's get the facts, because it's never going to be instant. It's never going to be instant, you know, and I'll share some real world experience on this, but it's never going to be instant. Remember that. It always takes time. You know, it takes time. The situation has to be controlled, you know, and right now, at that moment, when all this stuff was coming out, there was no control of the situation. There was left and right information coming through, clips. I mean, people were such in a hurry, and it is chaos. So let's find the truth in this chaos, and let's get control first, and then let's get the facts, and then let's go ahead and relay, you know. But as you can see, I'm going to go into the situation here. You can see, so clearly there's a vehicle in the middle of the road. And this is just
very quickly. We're going to try to get to a point where we can maybe slow this down and show you some still
like
shots.
She's saying.
But as Randy was saying, we see all of the agents standing in the street, nobody on the ground.
It's weird when you
that is
listen
the
to them.
perspective from behind, and we've watched it several times. So again, that vehicle the woman was in is it's parked in the street. We don't know for how long though, and it was at an angle, and we know that ICE agents then approached that.
It's weird how, like, once again, here we go. This is what you guys got to pay attention to, you know. So like, she's using terms like the car was parked in the street. Clearly, it's not parked. It was moving and then stopped there. You know, you can see there's brake lights, there's reverse lights. You can see the lights. You know, and I'm like, you guys know this, right? Why are you saying parked in the street? That's like. That words mean things, you know, words mean things. And there's a society who are paying attention to your words, you know, and right now, a lot of them don't have the mental capacity to kind of make logical decisions from a logical basis first. Initially, they're going to make one from an emotional one, which they know that, and they're going to capitalize on that. And it frustrates the crap out of me, guys. It really does. You know, I don't know if you guys know this or feel the same way, but I'm just sharing to you what I observe because I see it. I literally see this, you know, and words mean things. And when you're literally sitting at a desk of a news network in the viewership of millions, that should be your first concept. If I was like the producer, or if I was a manager or whatever, a head of a studio for a news network, I would literally put that as a mission statement right above their desk. Words mean things. Welcome to our news network where words mean things. And we want to make sure we give you the right words. I mean, something like that, dude, you would think.
That vehicle, and then the vehicle started to take off. Then after you hear the shots, it veers off into that parked car on the side of the street. Kristi Noem also issued a statement today, and I don't know if we can put it up on the screen, but just want to give you the perspective of all the different reactions that are coming in as a result of this shooting.
Yeah, so lots of reactions from this. Once again, reactions, but not a lot of truths yet. A lot of reactions before the truths. So truly a sad situation, guys. When you look at that, my mind goes in so many different avenues. As somebody who understands what ROE is, rules of engagement, and proper escalations of force, I will definitely say you got to remember these are human beings and they have different experiences. We'll say some stressors, but you have to be in control. If you're put on that team, if you're coming with me on a team and we're going on a mission or whatever, I'm going to make sure you have the full understanding on what our true targets are and what we identify as a true threat. And then our escalation of force, what are the rules we're going to apply to that when we identify that as a threat? I got to make sure everyone understands that. And in that sense, I will tell you right now, that did not look like, just based off the facts that I observe, one, they're federal agents. Okay, that's a fact. These are federal agents, operating on a different jurisdiction or different bylaws that are federal. They're there with already a mission. They already have a warrant. They have everything they need to do what they have to do. Just get out of their way. I would just say, get out of their way. Just let them go do what they got to do. And if you're going to protest, okay, protest, but protest off the side. Don't get in their way of their mission. You got to remember, these are real federal agents. So don't treat them like mall cops, because they're not mall cops. They're not security guards. They're not your local law enforcement. They are federal agents with an actual assigned mission, with a plan and everything. Just get out of their way. That is the best advice. Just get out of their way. Protest must be at a safe distance, because they are very target oriented. If you haven't noticed, they are very target oriented. And they're also still human beings. So if they feel threatened in a way, they feel stressed, be ready. Because think about it. What standard have we already set? You have to ask yourself that now. And I'm seeing it from both sides. First, I'm going to do the agent side. So yes, they're on a mission, a target-oriented mission. It's already been briefed. Warrants already been signed. They're going to go do what they have to do. They're just doing their job, because guess what? Somebody else is going to be in charge 2 years from now, and then they're going to have a different job and a different focus. But that is just how it works when you have a chain of command, when you're in those mission sets, those job fields. For a lot of you veterans out there, you know what I'm talking about. You get a new commander, all the priorities change. And then guess what happens? You have a change of command, then you have a new commander, and all the priorities change again. And these guys are just in that same boat. They're just doing their job. They're just doing what they're told, and that's it. Just like anybody else. If you work at McDonald's, you're going to do what you're told. You work in Amazon, you're going to do what you're told. You work at UPS, you got to do what you're told. And if not, they're just going to fire you, and you're going to have to go find another place to work. It's the same thing for them. If they don't do what they're told, they don't get paid, they lose their benefits. Like their kids' school doesn't get paid for. The only thing is they have a higher substantial level of training. They're very target oriented. They're probably also prior military, a lot of experience, a lot of combat experience. So when it comes to challenging, they're trained and selected for these missions, especially these ones, because they're quick. They get in, get out, and go. They are the transporters. They pick up and go back for litigation. They're just transporters. So just get out of their way. I would say just get out of their way. They protest from a side, protest, it's your right, but do it from a safe place and just get out of their way. I would definitely say don't park your vehicle and try to, don't do that. Just don't do that, because now you're playing a different game. Now it's different. It'd be no different than if you guys were to see a cop on the side of the road writing a ticket, and then you pull your car up right behind him. I guarantee that police officer's posture is going to change now. It's going to change. And it's going to be like, whoa, why are you even though you probably mean nothing but no harm at all, but they're trained, and that's their mindset. And we have to understand that, and I wish the poor little woman understood that, because sadly she did not have to die. Now I'm going to shift over to her side now. So she's executing her right. Now there's claims that she was a paid agitator, but she has no training. She has no tactical training. And she obviously doesn't have no understanding as far as target-oriented operations. But in that sense, was she in the wrong by parking her car in the middle of a road and purposely hindering the operation? I'd say yes. You know, she shouldn't have done that. She could have protested on the side like everybody else. She didn't have to do that. And then, you know, she also didn't have to die. She didn't have to get shot at. I mean, clearly, if it was, I mean, I'm just speaking like if it was me, you know, I've been in situations in other countries where things are not working your way. People are getting in your way or whatever. I'm not just going to pull out the M4 and start engaging, you know. There's other means first, you know, there's different escalations of force. And in this situation, I'm like, dude, you probably could have, if she's not moving, or okay, and she's not coming out of the car, she's not complying, because that's literally what they were trying to do. From that video and from the other clips that I've seen, they're literally just saying, ma'am, get out of the car. You need to get your car out of the way. Like, she's purposely obstructing. That's what she's doing. These are the facts. She's obstructing. So now they have to engage this obstruction. You got to come with us. We're going to detain you. I'm probably going to talk to you and be like, why'd you do this? Okay, give you a little citation and go on your way. But no, you know, she didn't have to do that. And if I were in the car with her, I'd be like, what are you doing? Just park off the side of the road. I wish I was there to tell her, get out of the way. We'll protest on the side or follow them and just protest it from a safe distance. But also, they did not have to, I would say the dude didn't have to engage. Shoot her tires. You know, if you're going to do that and she's got tires right there, shoot her tires, car stabilize. It's not going to move. Boom. There you go. Leave it at that. Set an officer there to talk to her and handle that situation and just carry on the mission. You know, I mean, there's different decisions you could do, but at the same time, some people are trained to remain calm and collected. But when you react with emotions and let your emotion take control, it never, like I said, like I tell you guys, it just never really pans out well. It never pans out. That dude probably was just really frustrated and kind of emotionally reacted. I bet you he's regretting it right now. I bet you that dude is sitting like he is probably grabbing his hair and just wondering what he's regretting everything. Like he's going down different avenues of all the different decisions he could have made. That goes both ways. It is a tough situation and it definitely didn't sit well. I want to discuss that with you guys. This is just what I observed and I want to discuss it with you guys. You know, I'm not claiming any side here, but there is a common sense factor here. And from my leadership, understanding, accountability, understanding what I hold myself to, I also want to make sure that that is also understood in your guys' lane too. So, but let's go onward here. We got some more to show you. Okay, so this was obviously they had a series of press conferences immediately after, and this is where now the leadership is. So now we covered obviously the actions, you know, we covered the situation. Now let's go into the leadership and accountability phase. All right, and then we'll conclude with the standard phase as we get into this. But so here's Kristi Noem in the press conference immediately after. Once again, truths aren't all out yet, I guarantee, but because she's in that role, she's in front of that formation, you know, she has to come out and say something. So let's see how this goes.
For his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family. I encourage the American people at this point in time to pray for him, but also to pray for the deceased's family and her loved ones. Today alone in this country, there have been 4 different domestic terrorist attacks on federal officers by the ramming of vehicles. 3 of them happened here in Minneapolis. We've seen over 100 of these vehicle rammings happen in just recent weeks, and this must stop. ICE alone is facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them and an 8,000% increase in death threats against all of them. In fact, the very same officer who was attacked today had previously been dragged by an anti-ICE rioter who had rammed him with a car and drug him back in June. He sustained.
Okay. All right. So many things to uncover here. So once again, this is the leadership aspect. We have a term in the military, when in charge, be in charge. And she's in charge of this. And part of that being in charge is ownership. She has to own it and she has to represent her team. Like she has to stand with her team in their successes and failures. That's clearly what she's doing here. A good leader is transparent, operationally transparent. When you're in that role, you're serving the American people, upholding federal laws, but also serving the American people. And I would definitely say, apply a little bit more. If it was me, once again, I would be one of those situations where, hey, here's the facts. Here's what went down. It's a sad situation. Anytime there's a civilian casualty like this, a loss of life of a civilian and an American in the middle of while my team's trying to work, that is unacceptable on my watch. And it would help, going forward, if we're going to gain a shared understanding on this. And I would say in that sense, apply a little more sympathy towards that, show that, and not so much on the aggressor towards your folks. And I get it though. Like, I understand that she has to do that. That's what a leader does. She has to own her role and own her responsibilities. So I'm not putting anything on her, but it is one of those things that when you're getting in front of those cameras, words do mean things. Understand that. And you're going to have a media who's going to take those words and try to manipulate them to trigger emotions, to form another narrative, all while at the same time, all the truths haven't even came out yet. They're still trying to figure things out. They're trying to figure out who this woman was, trying to figure out the officers, what was the decision, trying to get footage and assess the situation. It takes time. So there's no way that was all done while this came out yet. So it was a very immediate response. But when you're giving those immediate response, I know when I'm pulling my formation in, whatever I'm going to brief that team or brief my formation, I want to make sure I get all my words and ducks in a row before I do. Because when I give them guidance or direction, it has to be accurate by the book. Nothing can be questionable. If I'm questionable, then it's going to reflect down and it's going to create questions and it's going to compromise the environment. We don't want to do that. A good leader doesn't want to do that. Okay. But going forward on the leadership, now we're going to look at the mayor and the governor also gave out their press conference. And let me see if I can find this clip. Okay, so here's the mayor. All right. Now understand, a mayor, once again, is in a leadership position. All right. That mayor has a role and responsibilities. Okay. And keep that in mind, because as a leader, right, when you're a leader, who you lead is your resume. Okay. And their failures are your failures. Their successes are your successes. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're in that position, if I'm the mayor, I'm going to have to make sure I own that role and I own those responsibilities, because it does come down to ownership. I owe that to the people who have elected me and put me in that position. And now let's hear his response here on this.
Doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed.
Okay.
As soon as it happened and we learned of the incident, we had several priorities. The first, of course, was to get the victim to the hospital and to get care as soon as possible.
Yes, a medic was on site.
To the family, I'm so deeply sorry. There's nothing that I can say right now that's going to make you or your relatives or the friends of the victim feel any better.
Okay.
There were, I believe, 2 Minneapolis police officers that responded and were in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The second was to get ICE off of the scene. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of ICE and federal officers.
So I will say this. I would question the integrity of him having an understanding of what his role is. if it was me, and I do this all the time, even with my soldiers, I will tell them they may get triggered on a situation or over a tasking, and they may want to react because we're still human beings. So I will let them know, hey, play this game, but I promise I'm going to bring those questions up. I'm going to bring clarity because that's my role. Now, in his situation, in him and the governor, now mind you, they're already in hot seat as it is. We're talking billions of dollars of fraud that we have recently discovered that's been blowing up all over the place in their area of operation. They're responsible for that. They got to own that. So now I feel like they just found something they can jump on and cling to. And it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, dude, you're going to not own this, but own this. We got to have a same standard here. Own the failures, own the successes, own it. Now, in this situation, if I was him, as the mayor, understand with the administration, with the new commander, they got different priorities. Hey, but I'm going to control what I can't control. For everybody here, please, you guys are my priority. Please stay safe. It is your right to protest, but get out of their way. Stay safe. I'll take care of it. I'm going to make the phone calls. I'm going to send the emails. I'm going to go to the meetings. I'm going to take care of you guys. All right. Let me take care of it in my lane and let me pass it up and let's make sure it gets taken care of. But in the meantime, your guys' safety, your security, that's my responsibility. So please just get out of the way. I don't want to put you guys in a situation that's going to elevate harm or elevate risk. I don't want to do that. So in the meantime, let's play this game, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to own that. That's what I would expect from a leader in that position. I've done that myself. I do it now. Even as a first sergeant, we get taskings all the time. I got to give orders to soldiers that are passed down to me. And then I got to be like, hey, I get it. I understand the situation. But unfortunately, you have been pegged for this. So go ahead, do what you got to do. Play this game. But I promise you, I'm going to take care of you. Play the game. Stay safe. Stay secure. Let me know if there's any issues. But I want you to know I'm already tracking and we got something in the works. I'm working it. Okay? Because that's my role. That's my responsibility. His role, that's his responsibility. He should already do that. Her being out there and getting in their way, dude, you're encouraging that. You guys have set that tone. And because of that, you're going to see that. You're going to see it. And now it's going to get worse. And that's the sad part. I foresee it getting worse. It breaks my heart, man. We need leadership, personal leadership and leadership from our superiors. Own your role, own your responsibility, but understand part of that role and that responsibility is to safeguard the security of your team, the people you lead. That should be your number one priority. Guys, get out of their way. I'm going to fix it from my lane. I'm tracking all your issues. I'm tracking your concerns. I'm tracking it. I'm going to fix it. You guys have put me in this position. I'm going to fix it. But in the meantime, your safety and security are my utmost concern. So please just get out of their way. I'm going to fix it. I would respect that. And I hope you guys should too, because the tone has been set. Now, when I say the tone has been set, what I'm referring to is this is the standard that we have chosen to accept. We're just reaping what we sow. I'm going to show you clips from the past, actions and behaviors that lead to this decision-making process. A wise mentor used to tell me, in the military, he used to have a saying, the doer does what the checker checks. All right. Now, they're going to keep doing because you're allowing it to be done. That standard's been set. So that's what you have to fix. And if you don't know what standard I'm talking about, let me show you. So this was a couple of years ago.
Copy that.
Look at this.
Here we go. All right, this is getting serious. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
Look at this. This is the standard. And you can see this cop is just pulling over to
Holy
probably help him
Christmas.
out. He sees the dude laying there. He's trying to help, but now he just,
Oh boy. Oh
he's
boy.
worried about going
We've got
home to his
two
family.
CHP cruisers.
Sad, because that right there is a standard. But there's more to come. That's just a clip. And this was just a couple years ago. I believe this was like 5 years ago. All right, we're setting this tone. Now we're showing the people that, oh yeah, this is the standard. This is what you can do. We're not going to get in your way. There's not going to be accountability. And because of that, now everyone's going to push those limits. You know, it's like Mike Tyson always says, everybody thinks they can fight until they get hit. Once you get that first punch, reality hits you and you're just like, oh shoot. Maybe I'm not the fighter I thought I was in my head. Okay, now we're going to look at another clip of Minnesota, same place, 5 years ago as well. And once again, here's the standard, here's the tone you've set.
Don't shoot! Hands up!
The 3rd precinct of the Minneapolis Police Department, on fire. Nearby businesses ablaze. This is how the night of May 28th unfolded. George Floyd's arrest and death in police custody on Monday set off protests.
There you go. That's the tone. So when you're allowing that, if that's the standard you accepted, now you're going to have a society that knows that anytime they feel like they got to express themselves from any kind of outrage and they don't know how to process it, well, now you've set the tone by showing people how to react. This is what you can do. If you don't like it, challenge them. You want to play those stupid games? Hey, we're going to allow you. Go play those stupid games. But now, when you play those games, then you're going to get those prizes. You know, if you think you can fight, and that's what's sad. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to this is a discussion team. I'm just showing you the facts. Apply a little analysis. Look at the facts. What standards have you accepted? Because when you're asking yourself, why are they doing these? Look back. Here's why. This is what you've accepted. And now this is what so start owning your role, own your responsibilities. What are your priorities? What are you going to do? These are the questions you got to ask. And when it comes time to select or elect those leaders, keep that in mind. Man, it's just all sad. It really is. The whole situation. The sad thing is when you see that as a leader like myself and you pay attention to the facts and you analyze and you pay attention to trends and actions and behaviors, then you start to realize, okay, you're able to make the assumption that it's just going to get worse. Unfortunately, we have a media and a social media that feed off this. They are fueled by this. And then there's going to be influencers out there and everyone's going to feed off of it. When in reality, it's like, guys, no, let's come to a common ground. Let's come to a shared understanding. Let's look at the facts and let's address the situation. Let's address the issue and let's figure out our mitigation measures to make sure it doesn't happen again. But unfortunately, it breaks my heart because now, you know, everything is just based off trends. It's going to be politicized. There's going to be emotional outrage. There's not going to be accountability. And it's just going to keep turning. That's why I wanted to come on here and have this discussion with you and share facts, my own understanding of the situation from both sides, clearly, because that's what good leaders do. You got to see both sides here. You got to remain objective and not subjective. Always remember that. And it's clearly one of those situations that you just know how this is going to pan out. And it's sad and it breaks my heart because I don't want that. And I'm going to hope for the best and maybe count on the fact that, hey, you know what? Maybe they know we as a society nowadays, we have what we call a TikTok attention span. This will be a thing. And the next thing you know, we're going to forget. But it really bothers me, the standard though. watch the standard. And I encourage you guys to look at the standard, because what's held, the standard held here, and it's not held here, and we have a compromised standard, we have a selective standard. Well, now we got an issue. And when you have selective standards, you're going to compromise the integrity of your team or compromise the integrity of your organization or environment. It's a fact. It's going to happen. Because clearly, I get it. It is sad. No civilian. She did not have to die. If you ever ask me, I'll say, yeah, she didn't have to die. Some decisions could have been made. But I also got to look at the other side too. And that agent's probably like, he's acting off emotion too, because look at the standard that's been set when it comes to challenging enforcement. You're seeing cop cars getting destroyed, buildings getting destroyed, precincts over emotional outrage and zero accountability. There's no leader stepping up to own their role. Get control of your team. I don't see it. And the sad part is, because of that, you can already assume how this is going to pan out. I was going to show a clip to also show when civilians are politicized, it never pans out well. We've learned this from George Floyd. We've learned this from the Ukrainian who was murdered on a train. Where were the protests on that? And there's just so much that it was just like, dude, where's the standard in? If the standard is going to be outrage and emotion, then we should see it across the board, but we don't. Everything is just selective, and standards are selective. And when you have standards selective, then accountability is selective, enforcement selective, ownership is selective. Everything is selective. You're not going to own this fraud that's just blowing up over there. Your own people, their own hard-earned money, regardless of what political side you stand on. I'm looking at just you as the people, the person, my money, your money. What are we doing? These are questions that we got to ask. And it comes down to just, we need leadership. Leadership that owns their role and owns their responsibility. Put all the rest aside. You can deal with that. But right now, let's prioritize. What are our priorities? As a first sergeant, I work for a commander. I get a brand new commander. I'm going to ask this, sir, ma'am, what are your priorities? I need to know those, because that's what I'm going to have to enforce. I need to understand that, because that's what's going to create the structure for the organization and the enforcement. But we need to first identify those priorities. It's tough. I'm not going to waste no more of your time. I'm already getting a headache just doing this, but I needed to vent it to you guys. So I appreciate you for being an ear and hearing me out. Please, by all means, I'm interested in your thoughts in this whole situation. Whether you agree or disagree with everything I spoke about, but I am still interested, and you're entitled to that opinion, and I want to learn it. And time is too precious. So we got to focus on what we can't control. And I would encourage you guys this is about to blow up and be politicized, and there's going to be a lot of emotional triggering, a lot of bumper stickers out there towards you guys. Please, you all are smart. You all are smart. You're all intellectual, and you all have a brain that you can utilize, and please do utilize it. Take your time, be calm, and let's analyze, develop, seek out the truth before you formulate that. Don't get triggered. It's going to be very easy to get triggered. So take your time, analyze. All right, control what you can control. Don't let other people's stress be your stress. Okay? Because your time on this earth is already limited. Don't waste it on other people's stress or anxiety. Value your circles, take care of what you can, and don't get lost in the sauce. All right, team? Thank you for tuning in. Please be safe out there. Keep a solid mindset, stay grounded, and let's continue to find comfort in our chaos. My prayers out to you. Be blessed, and my prayers out to this country and this whole situation. My prayers out to the family, the civilian, and her family, and everybody else who's going to have to deal with this. It's a sad situation, but I hope for the best. Please take care of yourself, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.